Allison is back. I have to say, the actress who they have playing Allison, and by the way, I'm glad they have the same lady. She did a phenomenal job playing crazy, playing wide-eyed, confused. So I'm really excited to see her again. Hey, y'all. I know some of you are getting ready for work right now, or you are sitting at your desk, or you're on the train. Well, welcome back to Fans of Beyond the Gates, the podcast. I'm your host, Sis. And of course, this is our recap review discussion of episode 154. I have to say, for me, today's episode was a little boring. A little bit boring. Y'all, I'm sorry. I don't find, although I love the actors playing Samantha and Tyrell and June, when they're all three in scenes together, generally, I don't find it interesting. Now, there have been some times, in the past where I was like, oh my gosh, this is great, this is great storyline. But I feel like they don't really have anything for them. And I know I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. I know everybody can't be drama. Everybody can't be fighting. Like the Philistines and the Israelites. I get it. But still, though, So let's just pick it up with them. Y'all, Tyrell is moping and going on, as my grandmother would say. And he and Samantha roll up into Orphe Jeans. And June is excited. Hey, my babies, she says. By the way, shout out to BTG. Love that wig that they have on Jasmine Burke. Y'all remember that? Wait a minute. Just as I was about to say it, I got a flashback in my mind and it made me start laughing. Y'all remember that little rug they had on? Wait a minute. Y'all remember that little tiny rug they had on Jasmine Burke head? I'm like, if they don't get this thing off this woman head. And of course they had a rag, not a rag. Let me quit playing. They had a bandana or whatever it was on her. I'm like, But you could see the little rug thing from underneath. So anyway, I'm glad they got her wig just right. And I'm glad. I like Anita's little short wig too. But anywho, so she's excited to see them. And they sit down, y'all. And y'all know Tyrell is bummed because of Jessica. But right now, June doesn't know that Jessica has broken up with him. So she's like, I know exactly what y'all want. She tells them that they've got this. Orphe Jeans is trying out this peach cobbler waffles, right? And they just need to take a seat and they're gonna, she's gonna bring them some on her. And so Samantha's like, well, are you sure? I mean, I know money's tight. And June's like, listen, I'm just grateful that I have a place to stay, blah, blah. So she goes over there to the booth and she tells him their order is going to be ready in just a moment. And she's making sure there's extra whipped cream on the side because she knows that's how her baby Samantha, she kisses her on the head, likes it. So long story short with these three, and of course, you've seen the show by now. Y'all, Tyrell winds up telling June, Jessica broke up with me. She dumped me. And she is so like, I'm so sorry. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. And he's like, yeah, And, they get to talking about it. And she tries to say to him, or she does say to him, what everybody has said to him, that you're too young to get tied up with somebody anyway. And not to mention, when you're going off to school, there's going to be so many girls there at the school. I have to say this, y'all. I got a flashback when I was watching the show today. I remember when I went off to college, which was, I was about to say a million, but a kabillion years ago. It was so long. But I remember I had broken up with who I thought at the time was the love of my life. And mama, I just can't. Daddy, I can't go without him. And my dad, you going without him. And you know what? I met somebody else who I was later engaged to and all. So the bottom line is that it really is true. But when you're a young person, you ain't trying to hear all that. All you know is I'm in love, right? And so I feel Tyrell's pain, And so anyway, so as they're doing their thing and whatnot, Isaiah comes in. Now we're going to talk about where Isaiah got this information from and actually what he was doing before he rolled up into Orphe Jeans. But he comes in there to pick up a to-go order for him and Eva. And so June lets him know she's going to go work on that, You know what, y'all? I'm like, June should have been fired. And you remember she was that one time, right? But Naomi talked, I forget the man's name who runs Orphe Jeans, but she talked him into giving her job back. But anyway, but I'm like, no, she should have been fired again, right? All this yapping and going on. Girl, go get these folks orders. So anyway, so y'all, Isaiah sits down and he tells old boy, your aunties told me, basically, your Aunt Kat told me about Jessica dumping you. And I'm like, oh my Lord, did he have to say it like that? And so he begins to give him a pep talk, basically, and encourage him that, it's not the end of the world, all the things that you would say to a young person, again, that they don't want to hear. How many of you guys are like me? You can remember, if you did go to college, and I know some people chose different routes in life, but if you did go to college, or if you just left your parents' home, period, and you moved somewhere else, and you had a love and you just thought, I'm going to die without him, or guys, I'm going to die without her. I'm like, you know what? Do any of y'all do this from time to time when you look back on the folks you felt like you couldn't live without them? I can't live without Johnny. And you look at Johnny today, or you see somebody from your hometown, they be like, you remember Johnny from, yeah, girl, he in jail. But when you see these, or you go back to the class reunion and you see these people and you're like, what was I thinking? Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Right? So anyway, y'all, Isaiah gets his food, child, and he goes on about his business, whereupon June comes over with a blue gift bag. And she tells Tyrell, I was trying to figure out when I could give this to you. And it's a photo, y'all, of the three of them when the kids were very little. I just love technology, how they were able to merge those pictures together. That was really Tyrell. Now, I know they put the pictures together to make it look like they were all together, but what I'm saying is that actually was Samantha when she was little. At least the little girl looked just like that girl, and then the little boy looks very much like Tyrell. So if that wasn't their baby pictures that they merged together to make one, they chose a picture that looks very much like them. But anyway, and he's like, I love it. And June's like, oh, I'm so grateful and thankful that he said, no, I love it. She's like, I heard you, baby. He's like, no, I didn't say it right. I love you, June. And y'all know this is a breakthrough because Tyrell for the longest time has been the one out of the two of them. He's been the one, I think he was hurt the most. A parent can do the same thing to both kids, but one will handle it one way and another kid will handle it a different way. And out of the two of them, he was the one that was really angry and bitter the most at June, leaving them and choosing drugs over them. Although we know that June did the right thing as a parent by giving her kids up. Biggest sacrifices and one of the bravest things that a parent can do is when they know I am not fit to raise my kids. If they stay with me, they ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's to give them up. And throughout, history, especially in the Black community, this has been done, except we didn't give our folks over to, child services. Grandmama, grandmama was the one that took the kids or whatnot. And so it was just really great to see that he finally had a breakthrough and they hugged and June was crying, baby. Okay, y'all, let's talk about where Isaiah was before he rolled up into Orpheus. Well, he actually was at the atrium, the mall, where Caffeine Fix is, and he was there talking with Chelsea and Kat. So let's talk about them. So Chelsea and Kat, this is, by the way, a brand new day on Beyond the Gaze. I'm going to start saying that on my recaps because, I don't know, I just think it helps all of us. At least those of you like me who this is your first soap and you're still getting used to the timeline of things, but at any rate, because I know one time I was like, are they still on the same day? What? And child, come to find out they was 3 or 4 days later. But anyway, so they're sitting there and y'all, Chelsea and is talking about, Allison and whatnot and the crazy of it all. And so Kat is saying to her, I hope you got a good night's rest last night. And she said that, she did and whatnot, but still she was somewhat worried about the whole situation. And they talk a lot about, what's going on. They talk about their business, Chelsea shows Kat some new designs or some revised designs, on the bag. Y'all remember they designed a bag for Nicole, named after Nicole, and they're going to call it the Nikki because their competitor had a bag called the Nicole. Well, she's redesigned this bag. I think that's the one they were talking about. And so, they were talking about all that when up rolls Isaiah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he and Kat were just really eyeing each other. But anyway, maybe I just imagined it. But anywho, and so he's like got this bag. And so they're like, oh, what you doing? You've been shopping. He was like, oh, I have a gift for Eva. And so Kat is like, why did you have to ruin our good time by mentioning her? And so Chelsea's like, Kat. And so he's like looking at Kat like, okay. And so Kat's like, oh, I mean, how is Eva doing? How is that, Chelsea? And Chelsea's like, it ain't good enough, so she's pretending and they're having fun. And I have to say, Isaiah takes this on the chin. He tells her, you get a gold star from me. And then they bring him up to speed about Tyrell because for those of you who are kind of coming into Beyond the Gates, although we ain't never seen him do it, okay, but they done told, let me quit playing. I know they got limited funds over there at the Beyond the Gates, so let me leave these folks alone. Anyway, but he is a academic advisor or student advisor at Banneker, where Vernon and them teach and whatnot, or Vernon teaches, I should say. And so he was asking about Tyrell. Is he excited, his first year getting started at Banneker in a little bit. And they bring him up to speed on child. His heart is broken into a million pieces. And so Isaiah's like, oh. And so y'all, Chelsea starts talking about, when your ex gets crazy. And so Isaiah's like, wait, is Tyrell's ex going crazy? And she's like, no. Basically, that had nothing to do with him. This is me. I'm having my own situation. But look at Isaiah, y'all. He says to her, oh, well, you got a crazy ex? And she's like, well, I'm handling it. No. I mean, he really is interested in, is she okay? And so I often forget, y'all, that Isaiah is Chelsea's brother-in-law because they rarely give us scenes with the two of them together. We get more scenes, which I love, by the way, so I ain't complaining, but we get more scenes with Isaiah and Kat throughout, since he first showed up on the scene versus he and his sister-in-law. And so, so anyway. So that's the deal on that. Oh, by the way, Kat does bring Chelsea up to speed, right, y'all, with the fact that she went over to the police station and talked to Jacob, and she gives her the 411 on Allison. But y'all, how come, wait a minute, I'm in the lab, wait. Y'all, Allison is crazy as a bed bug. So how come the camera slowly, that's the part that was funny, the way they did it, slowly pans from the bottom of the floor up, and we see Allison with her back turned to the camera, y'all, in her jumpsuit with her two braids, writing a letter, girl, talking about on the envelope, it says, to my lovely wife, because y'all know she, quote unquote, made Chelsea marry her when she had her tied up in the bed. And she puts this, and we see a box sitting on the side of the desk, girl, that's full of letters that she wrote into this. Oh, Lord Jesus. Anyway, so she puts the letter she just finished writing into an envelope, and she puts it behind the 11 other envelopes. Anyway, but one of the things I thought was so cool, the way they did this when they left one scene and took us to the scene of Allison in the facility, is that Kat told Chelsea, listen, you don't have to worry about it. After she tells her about what Jacob is doing and he's going to make sure that the crazy never touches her again, she says, we're going to make sure basically that crazy Allison, she's never ever going to bother you again. And that's when they take us to the desk. So I will tell you guys, for those of you who just, maybe you haven't seen the show, she doesn't have the envelopes addressed or anything like that, but she just has, to my lovely wife. And I'm going to say, whoever wrote that on those letters, their handwriting is terrible. Why did I notice that? I don't know. Who knows, child? Okay, let's talk about, y'all, Heather is crazy. Okay, so they take us to Orphe Jeans, right? And we see Heather in the bar. By the way, that outfit that Heather had on was gorgeous. And we see Randy over to the side watching her. And then Martin and Smitty walk in. Okay? So when she sees Martin and Smitty, she gets up. She straightens out her pencil skirt, so to speak, and she walks over there. Congressman? Oh my God, I'm just, she plays that whole role, y'all. Heather is talking to them. Of course, we know that anytime Heather's talking to them, anybody, she's in an information gathering session. And that's exactly what she does. She gasses up Martin and Smitty. And aren't you that reporter? And I'm like, Smitty ought to know better than this, because we learned from Martin later, this is the very first time, child, and ever, okay, that anybody has ever recognized Smitty. Now, Smitty has been trying to take down the Impaler. He has this national story. So I'm like, I would have really expected Smitty to be like, wait a minute, this is odd. out of everything. I mean, and we have to remember, y'all, Smitty, they told us, remember in the beginning, that Smitty almost won a Pulitzer Prize. So we can't, try to act like the reason that she should know him is because he has a national story. Smitty been knowed. He been knowed in the DMV. But my thing is, they said that everybody always comes to Martin, never to him. I just thought for Smitty, as quick and sharp as Smitty is, he should have picked up on that. That just maybe this may be something, okay? Because he's been warned by Jacob of how dangerous this whole situation is. But I feel like he doesn't really, even though Derek got killed and all that kind of a thing, I think he thinks the danger may have passed. I don't know. So she's over there gathering information, asking them all kinds of questions, pretending she's fawning all over them. She just loves this and loves that and can't believe he's talking to her, all that, while Randy is watching. So when she leaves, right, Randy gets on the phone in the booth and he calls Joey. And Joey's like, "What's up?" And he tells him, you ain't gonna like it. And so he's like, "What is it?" And he tells him that basically she was over there talking to Martin and Smitty. So when Randy gets ready to try to go follow her, because that's what Joey says, stay on her, he goes out there outside of Orphy Jean's, the Uptowns, and he's looking left and right. He doesn't see her. It's like he's almost lost her when right behind him, y'all, Heather creeps up behind him and says, "Were you looking for me?" "Well, hello there," she says. "Don't you think it's time we were properly introduced? I mean, after all, you have been following me for days." And y'all, Randy looking all kinds of crazy. And y'all, how come Heather is smooth? She ain't angry. She ain't nothing. And so he's like, I basically, I'm just doing what my boss said. And she's like, "I understand, how my brother is. But you know what? I'm going to see him right now. Why don't you just follow me? I'm going to get in my car and you can tell me." And y'all, this throws Randy off. Randy is having his own experience, right, y'all? We learned from him, from his mouth, from his two lips, as Mama and them would say, from his two lips, that every woman, we suppose, child, that meant his mama too, but we don't know, maybe his grandmama, who knows. But he told Haley one time that every woman in his life has always been basically no good girl. And so it's like he's having this experience with Mona where he's experiencing that women can be kind and not be trying to scam. And now he's having this experience with Heather, where Heather is truly a powerful woman. You know what I mean? It's not the good kind of power, but yet and still she's powerful. And y'all, Randy don't know how to deal with it. He's always roll with these chicken heads, you know what I mean? Who's scheming on a trick, you know what I'm saying? But Heather, she is all the things, right? She is Joey just in a female body. And I think that this is really messing with Randy. Y'all, I wouldn't be surprised if Randy don't start working for old girl. But anywho, so he kind of has to roll with it. And so we see, y'all, Heather going into Joey's casino, and he's like, he knows she's on the way, right? And so she's like, "Joey," he's like, "Heather." And he's like, "So tell me exactly what are you doing and what are you really here for?" They have that same conversation again, wherein she tells him, "I promise you, I'm just trying to finish up, disbanding, the ring here up in the DMV." And he's like, "I don't believe it. You're still here. I mean, you have capable minions basically underneath you that could do that, right? I mean, surely you wouldn't have, basically dumb folks working for you." And y'all, how come Heather talking about, "Oh yeah, I got capable people, but this is something I needed to oversee." And so he keeps pressing, "What is it really?" And then she says, "Well, I'll tell you. I'll put all my cards on the table," while they're sitting at his card table. And so she's like, "You see what I did there? Cards on the table." And Joey like, "Bitch, get to it." No. That's what I was saying. No. But anyway, and so she says, "There's this guy that I really like." And basically she's trying to reconnect with this guy. And Joey's like, "What?" I have to say this. I have seen on the Reddit folks saying that, y'all know I prefer Reddit, the Reddit forums than Facebook. But I've seen people saying that they don't really like how touchy-feely these two are in their scenes. But I'm going to tell y'all this. I think what some of them, they may not have considered is that you have to remember, John Lindstrom and this girl that's playing Heather, they've been around for years. I wouldn't be surprised if they've had a relationship. Remember, John Lindstrom married Katie, Katie McLean, who plays our Pamela, he married her, and that girl was like, what, 10 to 15 years younger than him, or at least 10 or something like that. So it ain't like, he wouldn't want to run around with the young girls, Now, let me not say it that way, because I don't want to, I don't want to Einstein, Jeffrey Epstein, not Einstein. Dang it, sis. Where your mind at? Anyway, I don't want to Jeffrey Epstein him, but I'm just saying he liked them young, okay? So it ain't like these two probably hadn't screwed around. I mean, they worked in the same business for years together. So anyway, so that could be what it is. Sometimes when you've had a sexual relationship with somebody, especially now he's been divorced for a couple of years now. I'm not sure of her relational status, but my point is, it's very difficult when you've had sex with someone to go back to a very non-sexual interactions with them. And not that you have to have sex, that you're going to have sex with them again, but it's just very easy to cross boundaries because you've already done the ultimate crossing of a boundary. All of us know as human beings, first of all, the most intimate you can be with somebody is to open up emotionally. It's not really sexually. But in the physical realm, it is sex. And so when you've done that, there really ain't nothing else physically in terms of a boundary that you could cross. And so it's hard to go backwards. And I think that's what people on Reddit were talking about. I think that's what they're seeing, rather, with these two. But again, I don't know. I'm just surmising and opining, okay? Well, y'all, listen. Joey threatens Heather again, and she's like, he basically says to her, I love you, and I like you, and sometimes I may even love you, but I don't trust you. And she doesn't seem to understand that, but she seems to understand that. She says to him, well, I understand trust has to be earned and whatnot. And guys, listen, while they're sitting there, she gets a text from Andre saying, need to see you now, on my way. And she says to her brother, yes, to her brother, ooh, when she gets this text, he's like, oh, well, what kind of smile is that? And she was like, you may have just manifested the best shag of my life. I was like, okay. And here's my thing. I don't like that when she says these sexual things that Joey doesn't wince. Like most brothers would be like, ugh, girl, hush your mouth. Wait a minute. I just had a flashback of something. Anyway, I can't say it. But anyway, but most brothers would be so disgusted by that. Like, girl, if you don't get out of here with this mess. Anyway, so she goes to her hotel, right? And y'all, she opens the door, and y'all know who it is. Andre sitting there. What Andre wants, who knows? But let's talk about what Andre was doing before he went over there. Andre and Danny were up at the country club, kissing and whatnot at a table. I have to say, if I have to hear Danny say to Andre one more again, that, are you still upset with me? I'm like, didn't we already talk about that? Dang it. Beyond the gaze, stop it. Stop it right now. Listen, I know y'all beat me into submission during season 1. I get it. They have this repetitive dialogue for a reason. I get it, but I don't have to like it. And I'm like, I'm sick of hearing this. Girl, he done told you he ain't upset, leave it alone. Anyway, so she's about to get started on all that, child, when he says, this is a bill-free zone. And I was like, thank you, saved by Andre instead of saved by the bill. And y'all, they get to kissing and whatnot, renewing their love to each other. I'm going to tell y'all something. This is so true in real life. In real life, anytime you see a couple, and I do mean anytime you see a couple and they're always overly lovey-dovey with each other, it's always a sign that they're not happy. Do y'all remember the Neelys, that show, the Neelys, that cooking show? Same thing with them. I can promise you, anytime you see it, I don't care if it's a white couple, a black couple, an Asian couple, it's just what people do. We overcompensate when we're not happy. And so all this kissing and going on and smooching and whatnot, I mean, I actually know a couple in real life. We don't too much like spending time with them, but we're all in a certain group that we do have to hang out with them from time to time. And I'll tell you, they do all of that. And y'all already know, babe and I be like, because because we know, and we expect, let me quit gossiping. Anyway, girl, back to the actual recap. Anyway, so y'all, anytime, and I'm sorry, I know some of you are listening, you're like, me and my husband or me and my man, we be kissing and going on. Listen, I may not be talking about you and your man. I'm talking about these other folk, okay? Anywho, so they're overly reassuring each other. We're back on track. It's nothing's wrong basically. When in comes Vanessa. And she's like, could y'all get your hands off each other long enough for me to talk to y'all? And she sits down and she shows him on her tablet this whole design, y'all, because somehow or another, okay, Vanessa is about to redesign, or what is it called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Joey's, that room we always see, because y'all know we ain't never seen no other part. And I know they got it up, they hard up over there, but still though, and they're doing a great job with the resources they have, might I add. But she is telling them that she is about to do this whole thing, and she's going to redo this and redo that, and they are really pleased with it. By the way, before Vanessa was over there, she was at the casino where she gave Joey a present. And he opened up. He's like, okay, what is this? He thought it was like some costume, for sex play or whatever. And she says to him that right there is going to turn, basically it's going to, be basically make people want to spend money. Let me just say it that way. So let's get back to the three of them at the table. So y'all, all of a sudden, y'all know Vanessa keep whining about why Joey don't like his sister. So she goes there, and y'all know Andre starts shifting in his seat. He starts moving. He's shifting in his seat. He's shrinking and swallowing hard, And so it's so obvious that he is so uncomfortable. And Danny picks up on this, y'all. And so he says to Vanessa, well, if Joey keeps warning you about, his sister, maybe you should take what he's saying seriously. He even says to Danny, because Danny's like, I just can't understand why anybody would not like her. She's just so great. And so Andre says to her in a very stern voice, you know what? You never know who people really are and who you can trust. And Danny's looking, because y'all know Danny got her own secret. So y'all know how it is. When you're holding a secret and somebody says something, you automatically think they're talking about you, and they ain't talking about, they could be talking about somebody on the moon, right? And so anyway, so after Vanessa says, you know what, are you just saying that because it's Joey's sister? And he's like, listen, hey, if you think you can trust her, basically go on with it, right? But I got to go. And so he kisses Danny and he leaves, and Danny's like, oh my God, that was abrupt. What if he knows about me and Bill? What if he's going right now to a divorce lawyer? And so Vanessa says to her, right, she says, I say this to you with as much love as possible, but you're being ridiculous. I mean, when I walked up, he was all over you. How did you go from that to he's now gone to a divorce lawyer? Y'all, it's so sad that I don't even think, as I said to you guys before on one of the other recaps, I think stuff is going to come to a head with Andre and Heather way before Danny can even divulge to him what happened in the elevator. Not to mention, who knows? I mean, the bottom line for me is that Danny may have to hold this secret, I'm going to just say it this way, for the rest of her life, or risk Bill once again telling it when Bill finds out from Joey, because y'all know Joey and Bill gossip, when Bill finds out from Joey that Heather's main is Andre. Because y'all know, all Bill got to do is find out that Andre, even if it's not true, that Andre is, if he never ever has sex with Heather, but yet and still it even looks that way, or if Leslie sees them coming out the room, or if Marcel, who's rolling up into Leslie's room now all the time, if he sees Andre, it's going to get back to Bill, and that's all Bill gonna need to spill it all, right? I mean, you cheating, well, I mean, she done cheated, right? So anyway, so we're gonna have to wait until tomorrow, Wednesday, y'all, to see exactly what exactly is Andre over there for. Why did he leave the table with Danny and Vanessa, who was just talking about Heather, and then go over there? So yeah. Well, y'all, Randy goes over to the casino, and he basically apologizes to him by saying, I'm sorry. Basically, she found me out. I'm sorry. You're not upset. And so he's like, I'm upset about it, Joey tells him, but not enough to have you take a long drive. And so, but he tells him, what do you want me to do now? And Joey says, leave it to me. Leave my sister to me. Y'all, that right there was very scary, because y'all remember Joey told Heather to her face, "I will kill you with my bare hands if you mess with Vanessa." So we're going to have to see what exactly did Joey mean when he told Randy, "Leave it up to me." I think that was pretty much it, y'all. Let's just make sure, let me rather make sure by looking over my notes. Y'all know I'm still tied to my notes. Oh, I'm looking at this. You know what? I'm sorry that Dolly Parton is gone. My ideas about death have changed so much for a number of reasons. And so I now view leaving this world as one of the happiest things. I never quite understood that scripture in the Bible that says, basically when you enter the world is a sad thing and when you leave it is a joyous thing. But having had so many experiences now, I understand that. Anyway, and so when I saw what it was, I'm like, wait, what? You're interrupting my show to tell me that Dolly, aren't I going to find that out on the evening news? Can't I just go to Twitter right now and see it trending? So I have to say, CBS, that sometimes these interruptions are like, okay. And so to treat it like it was something, I'm like, they need to revamp what's an emergency versus what's not an emergency, if you ask me. But anywho, chat. So I'm just saying. Yeah, so our show was, for those of you who don't know, our show was intercepted, or interrupted, I should say, for CBS to give us the announcement about Dolly's death, but also to go through the plethora of her history and so on and so forth. Again, all the stuff they're going to repeat on the evening news. If you watch any news broadcast in the evening or midday news, you're going to get the same news, okay? So at any rate. So there you have it, guys. That's the recap review discussion of episode 154. Thank you for the thumbs up, and guess what? We'll be back together for 155. Bye, guys.